Hello, I'm the Cartographer, and this is the 106th video of my Fallout 76 Surveyal series, and here we are at the Rockhound on Mount Blair. Taking a look at the map, it's the workshop right here, just to the northwest of this abandoned Mineshaft 6. In fact, that's where I fast travel into every single time. To the northeast of Welch, to the east-northeast of Beckley, and to the west of Lewisburg here. Before we get into exploring the site and talking about everything you can find here and what you can get for the workshop, if you're interested in the real-world history of the site, stay tuned at the end of the video. I'm going to give you an overview of the Battle of Blair Mountain, one of the most incredible pieces of history that I've read about in the course of researching West Virginia over these past couple of years. That being said, let's get started. Alright, so again, this is the ash heap, so make sure you're wearing a mask. In fact, this one actually, this little surgical mask seems to do the trick. I at least have not dealt with any toxic gases or anything while I've been up here. Unfortunately, it is basically night already here, and while I typically don't like filming at night, it is the ash heap, so it's always kind of glowing a little bit. And beyond that, this place is so massive that I could not both kill everything here and record while it's still daytime. So we're just going to have to kind of deal with it. The Rockhound here was owned by Hornwright Industrial. It's a bucket wheel excavator. It's a truly massive piece of equipment. I have a coworker that built something like this. I mean, a real-world version of a bucket wheel excavator. It took them a full year in order to build the whole thing. So these things take a long time to build, and they weigh an enormous amount. We'll learn a little bit more about it as we go inside of it, but first we're going to explore the site around it. So let's take a look over here. We got these warehouses over here. Now, there isn't one right now, but you can potentially find a power armor chassis right here. Alright, now I'm going to turn the flashlight on, go around here. Got a big old piece of digging equipment there. Dead feral ghouls. Enemies you'll find at this site. Should have mentioned that. I found feral ghouls here. Along with that, there are mole miners on top of the actual digger itself. And then there are radroaches in some of these trailers. So keep that in mind. And there's also one Scorched on site, but we'll get to him in a minute. We got a weapons workbench right there. Whole bunch of shelves covered in clutter crates. Little diagnostic machine and a truck here. Fortunately, can't go around the front, it doesn't seem, so I'll have to go around this side. Let's go upstairs before we go to the next one. More crates. We got a crate we can actually loot right there, though, for an explosive. Dead miner right there. A little place where people were sleeping, it seems. A little bit of pre-war history of this site. This place was the site of a big uprising. But we'll get to more of that later. And in fact, I've covered most of that stuff in other videos, so... Oh! The feral ghouls here are sleeping when you first show up, so sometimes I will miss one or two of them until you actually start walking around and they reveal themselves to be actually still alive. Okay. Got some milling machines here. Alright, coming around this side, more shelves with more boxes. We can go upstairs. And we got like a little bar here, little kitchen, and a place to eat. I mean, given the amount of pollution in this area, I'm not sure I'd feel comfortable eating anything in here. I mean, it's bad enough to be breathing, and I'm sure you have to take your mask off in order to eat, and you have like ash constantly falling from the sky. Anyway, okay, we'll go in there in just a second. Just want to take a peek off this side here. We got a junk pile here, and yeah, you've got just other sites around here. You can see Bromwell off in the distance there. And that little site right there. That's not this site. That's Abandoned Mineshaft 6. Yes. So let's go back around this side. Oh yeah, and you can find some of the protest signs here. Block the bot. There's another one here. I ain't a commie, but I understand where they're coming from, or whatever it is that it says. Okay, and right here we have the Overseer's Journal Entry 6. I'm not going to play this because that's part of the Personal Matters quest. You can also find this key card here. I've already got it on me, and we can go down in here. So yeah, you do come down here during the Personal Matters quest. There is a single Scorched down here. Oh, he's back. Taking a look around here. Got a fusion core in here right now. First time I've seen that one in there since coming through here. Along with that, I've also found a bobblehead in here. And then if we come back over in here, you got some more junk. And pegboard here with some more junk and some more cabinets. This door was barred originally. Let's head back outside. Alright, let's check out these trailers over here. Yeah, as best I can tell, this site was controlled by miners rather than mine management from, I think, either the 2nd or 3rd of October up until the 11th or 12th. Alright, we got another trailer here. Not really too much to see in these things. Coming back... Okay, can't go through that, I guess. Coming back out here, we can go past these cars, all these porta potties. There's a first aid kit in that one. And then we got, yeah, the little polar bear teddy grilling back there. Coming up in here, there's a bobblehead right here. Alright, and then we can come around this way. There's a bed. Would actually rest in that. I wouldn't want to sleep in the ash heap, but maybe that's just me. Coming back this way. Okay, so that is this section of this area. There are 2 other on-the-ground sections that we're going to take a look at. And then we're going to take a look at this main structure. Now, there are more feral ghouls you can find hanging out here. We'll go through this trailer. This isn't one of the spots I was talking about, but you can see one of the miners here. Still want to know how it is that they're so well preserved 26 years after the bombs. Anyway, coming along past all this equipment here. Got a dead scientist there, maybe an engineer for Hornwright. Coming over here, you can also find more feral ghouls in here, but there's a missile launcher in here. Another dead miner right there. That one's a skeleton for some reason, not a body. Coming over in here, another trailer. And then there are 2 more portable homes over here. Past the fire truck here, with all the underground coal fires going on here in the ash heap. It's understandable why there'd be a fire truck here. But, yeah, I mean, this place is still burning quite a bit. And I think that's probably the problem with coal fires in the ground. It's very difficult to put those things out. This is where the Radroaches are. There you go, there's a safe right there. And then we got 1 more portable home to go into. Okay. And that's it for this area. I just saw some bobby pins right there. Want to grab those. Not that I need them. Okay, so yeah, then we got a whole bunch of this interesting equipment out here. Some sort of like geo-survey they were doing out here to figure out where to find the coal the most or something. Okay, and now we're going to go under the digging arm of this bucket wheel excavator, known as the Rockhound. Before we get over to this last area that we're going to take a look at, let's also look at the bucket wheel itself. And so you can see all those black titanium tipped buckets that they were using to dig away at Mount Blair. Okay, so we can come over here. Again, more of that surveying equipment. And here is a warehouse. This is normally locked when you first show up. Got a Nuka-Cola Quantum there. Although I'm sure that's just a Nuka-Cola and it can spawn as different types. There we go, another fusion core. We got another safe right here. Another feral ghoul that was in here. Some ammo and a gun back there. Coming around here, we got another trailer. Another dead scientist or mining engineer. Doctor, actually, in this case. Now that I'm looking a little wider, it's clearly an infirmary here. Let's see. Let's head over this way. Alright, let's head up over to the actual Rockhound itself. Oop. Missed 1 or 2 of those guys. Alright, so there are multiple ways up this thing, but I'm just going to pick this one right here. Why don't we look around the bottom of it first? These giant tracks that it has. Is that a... Yep, dead National Guard soldier. I believe that they were probably still here guarding the thing against the potential of more riots. Not going up it just yet, just using that to get around. You can see these enormous tracks with these enormous wheels in there. And we can even come under the main structure of it here. and you can see just more of the underside of this thing. It's a truly massive piece of equipment, and it took an enormous amount of power to keep it going. But we'll get to that very soon. Okay, let's head up. Okay, so we're at the first level up here. And you can see some dead mole miners here. These pieces of equipment right here are used when you're operating the workshop. I'll show you a video I took of myself completing that quest for the workshop. Got another way up right here. And let's go around to the other side of the first level. But before we go to fully over to the other side, we've also got this little building right here. Not sure exactly what this was. Maybe with these things right here is making this thing move forward or backward. The actual little driving room, I'm not sure. Coming up this way, another one of those little core holders. I suppose a reactor would maybe be the term for that. See more dead people here. Again, more dead mole miners. They're all over this thing when you first show up here. Alright. Let's check around this side over here. Another way up right there. Another one of these reactors. And another way down right here. Okay. Alright. And we can actually now go inside. And this is a interesting little area. They've got a whole bunch of equipment in here. You can see the main reactor of this thing in there. We can actually go all the way around this. And they've got these little rooms out the side. Okay, heading back this way. We can head down this hall. And again, more dead mole miners. We got a tinkerer's workbench right there. More dead mole miners. We can head out on the other side, or we can go look at the control room. Okay, and yeah, again, there's the tinkerer's workbench there. So here's the actual main control structure of this thing. We got a little terminal here. Yeah, we'll look at that now. So, Reactor Technology. You are not an authorized owner of the Mount Blair facility. If you believe you're receiving this message in error, please speak to your shift supervisor or contact maintenance. I think you have to have the actual event going for this to work right here. Standard Bulletin ST-1744PRD. From Mary Blake, Hornwright Industrial Public Relations. Code HI09-21ABR. Subject: Sample Welcome Package Message. Congratulations on your purchase of a Hornwright Industrial EXC97 Rockhound Bucket Wheel Excavator Unit. On behalf of everyone here at Hornwright, we'd like to welcome you to the tantalizingly lucrative world of strip mining. Your Rockhound is rated to move over 11,000 cubic meters of earth per hour and can operate with a crew of only 12. Each of the buckets with its massive cutting wheel are cast from solid black titanium, ensuring every cut will remain accurate and deep. If you have any questions, feel free to call our Rockhound technical team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Happy hunting. Daniel Hornwright, CEO, Hornwright Industrial. Technical Bulletin HI09-21PIC. From Don Mobley, Lead Tech, Hornwright Industrial, code HI09-21ABR, severity green. Reports are surfacing that properly calibrated ignition cores are draining in 3 minutes. As a result, all reactors need to be adjusted from 2200 to 1750. This will allow the ignition cores to remain in operation for a longer amount of time before replacement is required. We're working hard to increase efficiency, so please stay tuned. That's right, these cores only lasted 3 minutes. At least initially. Technical Bulletin HI09-33MDC. Again from Don Mobley. Code HI09-33MDC. Severity red. We've had an emergency shutdown today on the Rockhound due to hydraulic fluid loss in the main drive shaft. We've traced the leak to some faulty seals on the main fluid reservoir. A standard safety check should have detected this issue before it became critical. There was over 6,000 gallons of fluid soaking into the ground, which nobody in the Mount Blair team seemed to notice. This is unacceptable. Seal replacement and tank refill should take approximately 2 days to fix. We will be deducting downtime losses from your paychecks. So, awful all around there. And I gotta say that losing 6,000 gallons of that kind of fluid, you're gonna be facing some stiff environmental fines in the real world. Technical Bulletin HI09-76 PPI. Again from Don Mobley. Code, this is strange. The codes all seem to be either the same one that's actually mentioned in the subject, or this one repeats the first one, I think. Anyway, severity, orange. Due to increasing demand from headquarters, we're adding a third shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Full 24-hour operation of the Rockhound requires that wheel buckets get changed every 3 days. Please adjust your schedules accordingly. Failure to comply will result in immediate termination as per Hornwright Employee Agreement R/768-ALI-091-PRSN. Okay. And along with that, we have a holotape here from Buck Nixon.
Oh boy! Haha! Well, I'm damn glad that headquarters upgraded the Rockhound's power system. Now that we have reactors installed, we can finally stop depending on the local power grid and diesel engines to keep this baby humming. I can't even count the number of times the machines stall because of blackouts or the engines quit. Of course, working right next to 4 nuclear reactors isn't as cozy as it sounds. The engineers say those things are perfectly safe, but they aren't the ones that'll be vaporized after a meltdown. Still, those fat bonuses I've been getting on my paycheck are hard to ignore, so looks like I'll be staying for a while. Anyway, it's almost time for me to change out the ignition cores. I'll record more later if I have the time.
Yeah, so again, from the coworker that built one of these things, he was telling me that they had to actually build a substation to run this thing off the local power grid. So that tells you how much power these things take. And it's understandable with how large they are. Let's head further up. Okay, so we got two sides now that we get up here. We have the digging side and we have the ballast side. This is the ballast side, and it also has the actual workshop on it. Let's head out this way. More mole miners. One of them is always carrying a missile launcher, so be careful. At least one. I think I've encountered 2 before. We got this massive belt here that's carrying a whole bunch of the coal. And that carries it all the way back to this end. And when we come up here, after the event, you can loot ore from this ore extractor right here. But then along with that, we've got this little trailer here. Got a little footlocker there with some junk in it, and some other cabinets with junk. But that's pretty much it on this end, so let's head back over towards the cutting end. Alright, now that we're back over to the workshop, let's head over this way. Over to the cutting side. Alright, and there's actually an elevator up there. We'll go to that in just a minute. You can see that they were just kind of hanging out up here, cooking some dog food, I guess, and just watching this thing work. If we drop down here, and there's also the easier way to get here, which is just to take the ramp. We can follow this all the way down to the cutting end. And right here, you can see another way up. And this one is another way up directly onto the cutting arm. And along with that, we get another tinker's workbench and a weapons workbench. And we'll keep going. Watch out, because there is a gap in the walkway. But here we are up at the actual bucket wheel. And you can see those big black titanium teeth on this thing. And again, we'll head back up this side. And I think there's also another hole on this side. It doesn't look like it's in the same spot though. But I could have sworn there was a hole on each side. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And here we are back at the actual main structure. Now we could head down that way, but there's no reason. We're going to instead go up here and get on the elevator. And believe it or not, we are at the bottom level of this elevator. So let's go up to the second level. Okay. Pretty high up. I mean, there's Charleston down there. And we got oh, another plan. I'll take that. You can see the glowing of the burning of the mine fires up here. Okay, and then let's go up to the top level. Alright. Here we are at the top level of this thing. And, I mean, on a clear day, you can see just so much and so well. More dog food. But yeah, again, Charleston down there. You can even see Flatwoods on a clear day down there behind the New River Gorge Dam. You can obviously see Welch if we go to the right side of this thing. Yeah, there's Welch down there. There's Beckley. Lewisburg. Can't really see it. I think it's a little bit out of our sight range at the moment. But yeah, you got Bromwell up there, obviously. Oh, look at that. The Rollins work camp is coming in and out of focus if we move just a little bit. Anyway, with Marsupial, I think I can also jump up to the top of this thing. And this is a very high point in the world. I almost forgot to detail the event with the workshop. So, you have to kill all the enemies in the area, claim the workshop, and once that's done, you have to make the ignition cores that go into those little reactor banks I showed you before. Once those things are in there, the event will go on, and you simply have to protect those through the time limit of it, cutting up the ore and harvesting it. Now you can of course build turrets and anything you can normally do with a workshop, and you'll face waves of enemies. Once it's done though, you get the reward for the quest, and along with that you can go and collect all that extra ore that you get that ends up on the ballast arm of the Rockhound. Alright, well, I think that was everything that we needed to cover about this place in-game, but again, like I mentioned before, I've got a actual real-world history thing to talk about here. It's not enough to make an actual lore video out of, because again, it's only a real-world history event, and I already did cover this stuff with lore videos. So instead of doing a full lore video, I'm just going to talk about it now. So I alluded to this event in the past when talking about Welch, but let's get into it now. The Battle of Blair Mountain. In the United States from about 1890 to 1930, there was a series of strikes in the coal fields of Appalachia and Colorado that ended in serious violence. These fights that collectively became known as the Coal Wars emerged due to the acrimonious relationship between mine management and the miners. The life of a miner was not an easy one. The mine management made it worse. Many miners lived in company towns where they rented housing and their tools from the company and were paid in company scrip that was only exchangeable at company stores. On the job, they worked long hours in poorly ventilated mines, breathing coal dust and toxic gases. They were paid for the weight of the coal they mined, and at times the scales would be rigged against them in order to reduce their pay. If the miners attempted to unionize with United Mine Workers of America or other mining unions, they would be thrown out of their company housing, many times at gunpoint by mine guards or private detective agencies. One of the groups of these private detectives was the Baldwin-Felts Detective Agency. Baldwin-Felts originally worked for rail companies, investigating train wrecks and robberies. In the days before the FBI, it was a serious issue for state and local governments to cross jurisdictional lines to hunt down fugitives. Groups like Baldwin-Felts fulfilled that role too, hunting criminals across state lines and bringing them back. But they really made a name for themselves as strike breakers. They are known to have fired machine guns into camps of striking workers and their families. The fact that these tactics were allowed is truly incredible. The private detectives were not the only enemy of the unions, though. Governors and presidents deployed the National Guard to put down strikes too. With this background info in place, let's get into the events that directly led to the Battle of Blair Mountain. On the morning of May 19, 1920, 13 Baldwin-Felts detectives arrived in Matewan, West Virginia. They evicted several families, ate dinner, and headed back to the train. They were intercepted by pro-union police chief Sid Hatfield, who claimed to have warrants for their arrest. The detectives replied that they had warrants for his arrest. Matewan Mayor Cable Testerman claimed that the Baldwin-Felts warrants were fraudulent. The scene was soon surrounded by angry miners, and a shootout occurred. 3 townspeople, including the mayor, were killed, along with 7 detectives. Among them, 2 of the Felts brothers, Albert and Lee Felts. State police arrived to secure the area, which led Sid Hatfield to lay down his arms. The emboldened miners organized a new strike on July 1, 1920, and more violent acts took place throughout the area. The next year, on August 1, 1921, Sid Hatfield was assassinated by Baldwin-Felts detectives on the steps of the McDowell County Courthouse in Welch. Hatfield's assassination was the catalyst for the new drive to unionize southern West Virginia's mines. On August 7, 1921, Union leaders Frank Keeney and Fred Mooney presented a list of demands to the governor, who rejected them outright. As a result of this, a group of thousands of miners rallied outside of Charleston to march on Mingo County. Logan County and Blair Mountain stood in their path. Logan County Sheriff Don Chafin gathered 3,000 men to defend the country from the miners. Among these men there were mine guards, deputies, and armed anti-union militias. They dug in on Blair Mountain, and I mean this literally. This is after the First World War, and there were veterans on both sides. Trenches were dug. Machine gun nests erected. 10,000 armed miners arrived, and the battle ensued on August 31st, 1921. Miners fought through the trenches, only to be repulsed by machine gun fire. They laid siege to the mountain, but soon found themselves contending with air power, as Sheriff Chafin had 3 biplanes dropping tear gas and pipe bombs on the miners. The Army Air Force began to patrol the area with recon planes on September 1st, and thousands of troops were mobilized by President Harding. As the Army arrived, most of the miner forces scattered, but eventually about 1,000 surrendered. No one knows how many were killed in this conflict, and it was originally seen as a loss for the Union, with leaders like Mooney and Keeney being charged with treason by the state of West Virginia. They were acquitted in the end, but their defense was expensive to maintain. A quick aside, how weird is it that states used to charge people with treason? This reminded me of Virginia charging John Brown with treason for the attack on Harper's Ferry. Anyway, the workers of the coal fields of southern West Virginia finally gained the ability to unionize with a New Deal during the Great Depression. So, in the end, the defeated miners got their way. It's really incredible to consider how violent these confrontations were, and how far we've come in the past 100 years. That being said, there are some interesting developments regarding Blair Mountain over the past decade. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2009, a decision that was fought by 2 coal companies as they were planning on strip mining off large portions of the upper part of Blair Mountain. In June 2018, it was added back to the NRHP list. I'm happy that the developers put Mount Blair in the game, and made it the site of a battle between miners and management, and that they gave us a view of the strip-mined Blair Mountain. Anyway, I think that's enough on the Battle of Blair Mountain. If you didn't see it before, I'm going to put up the whole list of junk you can find here. Alright, I think that'll do it. This has been yours, the Cartographer. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.